Hi everyone, I'm Chris and I have with me today XGIMI's 4K projector, 60Hz max. It is called the Horizon Pro. Now this one has a decent brightness, right up to 2200 ANSI lumens. Built into it are two Harman Kardon tuned speakers, and for the size of it you would think that the speakers probably wouldn't sound too good. They actually are really impressive in this. So it runs Android TV 10, and I've been using it now for a week, and so far I think this is one of the best 4K projectors you can get for the price. Now included in the box is our remote to control it. This one has a metal frame around the outside of it, your typical controls right here for Android TV. There's a microphone, this button here is our Google Assistant, and here we do have a button dedicated to focusing the projector. The power supply, this one is rather large and powerful, 220 watts. The power cable, so that will depend on your region of course, and then a user guide. Now this outside material here, this is all made out of metal. It's a premium top-end finish to it, no complaints at all. So we've got our DLP projector here, that's the tech it's using, 4K, 60 Hz, and the throw ratio of this one is 1.2. So anywhere from 30 inches to 300 inches is what it can project. This right here is a little camera, and there's a sensor in there too. That is for the autofocus mode. This right here is our fan. So yes, it is actively cooled like all projectors, and it does make a little bit of noise. I'll give you a sample later on in this in-depth review of what it sounds like after I've been running it for at least 2 hours. And then along the top of the projector, this here is plastic, probably for the wireless antenna reception. We have a power on button and then some media controls. So start, stop, and then volume. Both on the left and the right side, you will find these right here, our speakers. So it does have two speakers tuned by Harman Kardon. They're 8 watt. They're only little ones, 45 millimeters, but for the size of them, they really do put out quite decent sound. And you'll hear later on, I'll also give you a sample of that. The bottom is made out of plastic. We have 4 solid rubber feet and a tripod mount. First up, before we get onto the image quality, let's talk a little bit about the operating system here. So very good performance, everything is fast, fluid, no real problems with it. It has 2 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of storage. It's a quad core that it does run, and that is actually sufficient. It's enough for an Android 10 projector right here, that everything loads up quick. As fast as my TV would load this up, I see no problems. In fact, I think the performance is maybe even a little bit better than my Samsung. So just getting here into Amazon Prime Video, that this works in full HD, so does Netflix, not a problem there. Updated the Netflix app, these applications are all up to date. So just going through this now, performance with the UI, very, very good. There's sometimes a tiny little bit of lag here as it's loading things in. Now I'm just connected up with the Wi-Fi, so it's just Wi-Fi AC, and it's fine. I don't see any issues, so just go into Vikings right here, okay? And you see that it loads in quick enough, and you can resume all those features you'd typically find here. So I'll just get out of this application, all right? And we'll go into just a few things with the settings now. Now, very standard settings that you'll find on most projectors. So under brightness, I have this set to the standard, okay? You can even increase this up to bright level, the maximum the whole time. I project in performance. Now performance is probably the best for gaming to help reduce the latency, the delay you're going to be seeing with that. And I'll get onto gaming later on too in this review. So bright, there's going to then be the 2200 ANSI lumens that this puts out. And on standard, it seems to be really about the same, but I'll keep it on bright here now. So that is the ambient light sensor you can also enable, so it will automatically change this for you. Now I'll get onto the way the screen looks soon with lights on. They're currently off, of course, at the moment, but keystone correction, it's automatic or manually. Focus adjustment settings. So on startup, you can get it to autofocus itself. Projector placement, so this is standard. So if you're going to mount this on a ceiling, so it's inverted, it will automatically flip over, but you can manually go along and change this. Now on the remote here, if I tap the focus button, you'll see it will then go and do its focus thing. So right now it's using the camera and it'll work out and get the focus absolutely spot on. The other settings that you'll find, well, we've got HDMI control settings, so you can adjust this to be auto power on if you want. and that was with the ARC devices for the HDMI control. Gyro calibration, focus calibration, and the keystone calibration can all be done here if you needed to do so. Now, I haven't had to touch this, but imagine you're having a few issues or whatever, you could run this to get it to recalibrate itself. And Netflix, so this one is running great. So very, very fast going through the menus right here. Unfortunately, I can't play anything because the last time I did this, I got flagged for copyright reasons, and that was only just using a 7-second clip. And I thought that was still fair use, but it wasn't, but very good. Now with this, you will see that certain newer programs, especially TV series, for example, like this one, Money Heist, 4K, HDR support, Atmos. It works quickly, cache is just fine, and the image quality I'll get onto now does look really good. But the good thing is, we have the proper Widevine Level 1 support, 4K HDR, all of that working. The only thing I had to do with this is that I needed to get the Netflix application from their store. The one that I updated on Google Play said that it didn't support this device. So here we go with our image quality now, and I must say it looks spectacular. This is in 4K, and I'm shooting in 4K, and right now this is actually an HDR clip. And this is from a YouTube channel called Burger King. And my cat Vera goes absolutely nuts with these videos. So the image quality, super sharp, lots of detail. Now we do have with this 4K 60 Hz maximum, and I'll get onto gaming soon on this projector, which is really good. But the brightness is impressive. So it's 2200 ANSI lumens max, which is so far the brightest projector that I have reviewed here in the channel. Most of them have been around 800. So the images look very sharp. They look so clean and crisp here. But let's have a look now what it looks like if I was to turn on the light or open up the blinds. Now with plenty of ambient light at the moment here, it is still perfectly watchable to me. Thanks to the 2200 ANSI lumens, it looks great. I would not be worried at all. It almost looks like a TV when you've got a TV on and you've got ambient light on, some sunlight coming through. It really is about the same here, but with the ambient light right now, the blacks don't look as deep, and they're never really going to look that deep with a projector like this, considering I'm projecting here onto a white projector screen. I've placed my USB pen drive in one of those USB 2 ports here, and the file manager, very good performance. Let's take a look here just at a demo clip. So I can tell straight away that this is definitely 4K. The cat in the middle there, that's my Vera, and the late Ruffer to her right. I can see all those fine details of her fur and her whiskers. Not a problem there with this particular 4K projection. You can see all those finer little details. But what about the performance here within the file manager? So I've tested this one out. Sony Swordsmith HDR. This is 4K. I didn't expect it to be able to play 4K 60 without any problems. But look at this. Super smooth, 60 frames per second playback from this. Not an issue at all. And it looks stunning. Very, very detailed there. Proper 4K. And this file here is an HEVC 4K 10-bit 140 megabit per second file. And it's playing it just fine. Absolutely flawless here. There are no dropped frames, no lag and stutters. So great performance just straight out of the native file browser here. Gaming performance now. This is with my PS5, and it did detect it as an HDR compatible display here. Well, should I say projector. I'll jump into a game now and we'll see how it performs. Will I have any issues with the latency? So this is running just fine on the 4K 60 frames per second option, so the most detailed looking graphics. And it looks good. I'm having no problems at all with input latency, so there's no noticeable, well, that's an issue at least for these kind of games that I'm seeing. Now, if you're a competitive gamer and you play Counter-Strike professionally, you wouldn't be using a projector anyway to start with. But for the casual console games out there, gamer, I think this is absolutely fine. And it just looks amazing. This, I think, is way more enjoyable than using my TV. Just having such a super large size, especially for Dirt 5 here for racing, is really, really nice. Lastly, for the games, I had to show you this one. This is Counter-Strike 7. Now, this, of course, is with the PlayStation 5, so I've got that new texture pack, and it looks absolutely stunning. The first reaction for me was, when I booted this up and looked at it, was, oh, wow. And that's true, no lie. I just went, wow, wow, wow. That looks absolutely amazing. Now, I'm not getting it across, really, capturing this in 4K at 30 frames per second, but trust me, this looks stunning. This is better than a 65-inch TV. Now, I played this game quite a lot on a 65-inch Huawei Vision S that I reviewed in the channel, and this experience with the projector, to me, is so much better. It's definitely great for games, console games like this. And our speakers on this one, Harman Kardon, they're both 45mm, they're 8-watt speakers, and they actually sound impressive for the size. Here's a sample at 100% volume. And a very quick sample now of the fan noise. So this is excellent on this particular projector. Does not make a lot of noise at all. It's never at a high RPM. And for me now, using it for quite a few hours, it's just a small little humming noise that it's making. My PlayStation 5 makes a lot more noise than this, but here's a sample of it after now about 2.5 hours non-stop use. So the only real con that I've found is this right here, that when I'm doing a little bit of 4K playback with YouTube, the app, I have noticed that often it will completely just freeze up on me, just jam. Now, right now it seems to be working okay and it looks sharp. The blacks of that bike do look very good here, again for a projector, but now and then it will just completely stop. And I don't know if that's to do with my internet connection. I don't believe it is. I just think it's the application or the app. And I just have now and then problems with 4K with YouTube. That's the only thing that I've found that I don't particularly like with this projector. Okay, I'm blown away with the image quality on this one. When I first loaded up Final Fantasy VII Remake with the 4K PlayStation 5 texture pack, I was taken back. It's just like, wow, this is amazing. This looks so much better than the 4K 65-inch TV that I reviewed, and 75-inch TVs. LCDs I'm talking about, okay? Not OLEDs, but really, really impressed. Input latency, I think it's fine for console gaming. It is fine, it's really good. Performance of Android TV 10, fine. It's fast, it's quick, it's snappy, it does not need a lot of power. And I threw some very demanding files at this from removable storage, 4K HEVC, 10-bit, no problems, at 140 megabits per second. It was flawless, great, worked good. 4K, watching 4K clips on it, really nice, okay? So much detail. Overall, very bright image. Even if you've got some ambient daylight coming in, you can still see it. It won't be great, of course, if you turn off all your lighting and in a pitch black environment, it just looks amazing. It looks stunning there. However, the blacks, this is one of my cons. The blacks, I would not say are super dark, but there is a positive to them. Many projectors that I have reviewed in the channel, when you look at blacks, you see this grain to it, okay? And it looks terrible. Not with this. I don't see any of that horrible black, the grain in the black coming through at all. So even though the blacks, super deep blacks, do look gray, there's no grain. So that is great there. The other con for me with this is that YouTube at 4K setting, I don't know whether this is my internet connection, it works fine for a while. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just locks up completely and decides to become a bit of a slideshow. I don't know. I think it's probably the application and not a fault of XGIMI here. So overall, I think this is a fantastic 4K projector. Yes, it is a little expensive, but you are getting quality image, quality product here. The Harman Kardon speakers, they sound very good for the size of it, and they are very loud for 8 watts. They don't sound like 8 watts. They sound like they are much, much more than that. So thank you so much for watching my review here of the Horizon Pro. I do hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.